Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the Brazelton Touchpoint Center Learning Network podcast and webinar series. Today, we're going to be discussing a little bit about our parenting program and the training that goes along with it. Today, leading our discussion is going to be Debbie Sossin. She's a project director here at the Brazelton Touchpoint Center, and she leads these trainings. So, Debbie, if you could tell us a little bit more about you and your work with the parenting program and maybe a little bit about the program itself.
Wonderful. Thank you, Autumn. I'm delighted to be here and to share with everyone about the Touchpoints parenting program curriculum. I am the project director of Family Connections here at the Brazelton Touchpoint Center and also a national trainer of Touchpoints and the parenting program. So the parenting program is a preventive, practical curriculum that supports positive parent-child relationships through the Touchpoints approach. The parenting program curriculum, which is a 2-day interactive training that we provide here in Boston or also at locations around the country, has 2 primary goals. Those goals are to engage parents in conversation about their child's development and also to support parental mastery as parents learn and practice new skills. Through the Touchpoints parenting curriculum, we work to share with parents one of the many gifts that Dr. Brazelton gave to all of us, and that is the importance of learning from our children, observing our children, and trying to understand their perspective as well as our own perspective in regards to their behaviors. The parenting program curriculum is made up of a series of 5 sequential modules that are developed to support parental mastery. We look at development, we look at culture, language, nurturing, discipline, and whatever other issues that parents bring to the group. We're excited to be here today and have with us a panel of 3 women who have participated in the parent program training, also have had the opportunity to facilitate parent programs. So thank you.
Hi, thank you. I'm Patty Sargent. I work with Community Action, Inc. Early Head Start program in Haverhill, Massachusetts, and I am the manager of the Early Head Start home-based program.
Hi, my name is Hermeline Pierre. I am a program clinician at Smart from the Start, which is a school readiness program in Boston that has 8 various sites. We go from Mattapan to Roslindale to South End, South Boston, Charlestown, Roxbury. Essentially, I'm all over inner city Boston.
Hello, I'm Martina Ebesigawa, and I'm an assistant professor at Diablo Valley College, but I'm also the president and owner of Synergy H2O, and that is an early intervention program that provides infant development specialist services to infants and toddlers, as well as family support to families.
Thank you so much, Patty and Martina and Ermeline, for being here with us today and being willing to share your experiences with the Brazelton Touchpoints parenting program curriculum. I'm hoping that each of you would share with us what some of your aha moments or takeaways were. And perhaps we can start with you, Hermeline.
Sure. Part of the work that we do, including the Touchpoints parenting program, has been working with the parents specifically, and not only their children. We know that there is a side-by-side component in that. And what the parenting program has allowed us is to really just allow more autonomy for the parents. I know for me, as someone who doesn't have children of my own, it was a bit challenging at first to think about what can I teach a parent about their child already. And doing the Touchpoints parenting program really allowed me to essentially give that power back to that parent and remind them that they're the expert on their child, and that I have to also recognize for myself what I bring to the interaction, and really just putting those pieces together and reminding myself, like, though I'm the quote unquote professional or expert, at the end of the day, these parents are really the experts when it comes to their children, and they'll be spending the most time with them. So how could we collaborate together to not only help them and ease the burden that comes with not only being a parent, but having to deal with socioeconomic challenges, just life challenges as a person of color, and just overall being able to help their well-being when it comes to parenting so that they can better parent their child.
Thank you so much. You really shared a number of examples of how you've integrated the Touchpoints principles and assumptions and what you learned at the Touchpoints parenting program training. Patty, you'd be willing to share with us your thoughts on the training experience and what that was like for you?
Yes, I'd be happy to. I think the several things that I came away with from the training in particular is that in terms of integrating parenting curriculum into our program, the Touchpoints parenting program really melds seamlessly into the Head Start approach in that, you know, we're really looking to foster a partnership and with parents in sort of the education journey, and the Touchpoints parenting program just fosters that partnership, and also I think places a lot of importance on the value of that process and like completely embracing that process. One of the things that we came away with, and me in particular, is that I think in that process, forming relationships with parents and really meeting parents at that level can almost land on a spiritual level in a way, I think, because we're becoming almost intimate with parents and talking with them about their children and how their children are developing and how we're fostering a partnership with them and educating their child. And that's such a, you know, an intimate part of their lives at that point. So very much realizing the importance of that.
Thank you, Patty. And it was, you know, wonderful to hear you talk about the partnership and with parents and how you see this particular curriculum integrating with the Head Start approach. So thank you. We appreciate that. And Martina.
Yeah, I thought the training was very much a process in that we went through the Touchpoints process rather than found out what Touchpoints is. We went through the process. For example, Marlies, we were all sharing, going around the table, and we were sharing, and I personally shared about loss, and she had, I guess every person has a, not a trinket, but a gift or something from you and her, and mine said, "Let go." And I thought that was so personable. And what was so ironic was that I gave it back to her, you know, and I said, she said, "Do you want to keep it?" And I said, "No, I want to share this." So I gave it back to her. So I thought that was really something that still resonates with me, is that she encouraged me to let go. And then I didn't know she was sick, but I guess for her, she got to let go herself. And then the other thing that I found very interesting was about taking away from us as the experts and really looking at the child and the parent as the holders of information and the holders of where we're going with the story. I think that's something that was very different, and if I can later on, I'll talk about how that came up in my parent group. But I think that was something that was very telling, that the expert isn't necessarily the person in the room with all the information, but it's rather the collective expertise, versus one person holding all of that expertise.
Mm. Thank you, Martina. And I really appreciate that you spoke to the training, the facilitation training being a process. I know, Patty, you spoke to groups with parents becoming very, very profound, that there's a partnership that's formed. And our hope is in the training, the facilitation that we do, that participants do experience a group process and understand that partnership on both an cognitive level, but also on an affective level. So thank you both. I appreciate that. To all three of you, did you find that the training enhanced your touchpoints practice? And if it did enhance your practice, how did you see that? Back to Martina again.
I think it really helped me to really pause a lot. I think I tend to want to always have solutions. My population that I work with are children with special needs. And so it's always easy to want to fix or try to figure out what's causing it or how do we get it repaired. But being with the families and being with the children was something that I think changed, and having the freedom and the permission almost from after going through both the individual level and the parent touch points allowed me to, when parents would push up against me and want that information, want that, to be able to help them to be in that place of just curiosity or just celebrating the different touch points that children were going through, and that not everything was a result of their child's special needs. Maybe something was just natural development occurring. And so the regression that they might be seeing may not necessarily be that it's something that was of concern, but more just a natural process of development. So I thought that just the permission to be able to pause, to be in the moment, to be present, that was really helpful. And I think that I saw myself practicing that more and more with families, because I work a lot individually with families as well.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Ermeline, would you be willing to share your thoughts with us?
Sure. I know for me, when I first started at Smart, I was told I would be doing this parenting class, and it was nerve-wracking. I was like, wait, what can I contribute? Again, as someone who does not have a child yet. But again, what the parenting course really did was allow me to take that burden off myself. And again, be reminded that you don't have to be a parent to be able to help someone better themselves for the well-being of their children. I really like that with the modules, it goes beyond just parenting. I like that there's a cultural section, because that's also an important piece in terms of the populations that we're serving, and just knowing that a lot of times how people parent is based off how they were parented. So we're trying to teach something different and allowing them the opportunity to reflect on their own upbringing really does make a difference. And I'm happy that it allowed me the opportunity to do that, and I'm able to continue using those same modules in different ways, because though there's only 6 modules, there's so much expansion that you can do from those 6 modules themselves.
Right. And I so appreciated your openness to share your questions and concerns in the training about not being a parent yourself, and we did think about, all of us have been parented, whether or not we are parenting, we all have been parented. And so there certainly is wealth of information for each of us, and that ability to come alongside families and to think together with them and to begin to learn more about their experience of parenting. Patty, do you have some thoughts you might want to add?
Yes, thank you. Martina touched on something, and she spoke about embracing the pauses when you're working with families, and that's one of the things that I took away, is not to be afraid of that, not to feel like anyone needs to fill that time, and even just to go a step further and sort of listen to the pauses and what the pauses, the silence might have to say. One of the other things that I took value, the disorganization, and really trust the group. And that's been very important to me in sort of letting the group evolve, letting the parents really lead where they want the conversation to go and really where they want the group to go. As far as sort of the overall touch points approach, just a way personally, it really goes back to, all of the modules really start with the premise of the parent being the expert on their own child. And it really all goes back to that core belief. And I think the very first module, which is parenting your unique child, the joys and challenges, that just says it all to me. It's setting the framework and letting parents really take time to stop in crazy busy world of being a parent of a young child or an infant, of talking about the joys and then sharing the challenges with other parents and really feeling heard in that moment.
Thank you. Well, I certainly hear the passion in all of your voices about parenting groups and sharing this experience with parents. So I'm hoping in the rest of our time together, we can talk about what you have implemented, what kinds of groups you've been using the Touchpoints Parenting Program curriculum with. So Martina, I know you had mentioned earlier that you had an example that you wanted to share. So maybe we'll begin with you.
Yeah, so because the way my program is designed, I can provide services to the community. And so one of the community programs that I was working with was the e-karate program put out by the Bay Area Christian Church. And the particular program serves families that have children with special needs and those that do not. So it's an inclusive program. I met with the parents while their kids were doing karate. And what was really interesting was the whole idea of ambivalent feelings for children, for families of children with special needs. And I remember I said, well, we all have ambivalent feelings about our children. And one of the parents said, well, that's very generous, and after prodding a lot more for them, and their child was a little bit older, waiting for their child to change and go through the process, and try to get more skills was hard. And so having to process that and actually, not just in one session, but maybe in a couple of sessions, get to the bottom of what the comment had made. I think that was one example. And then another example, if I may, was learning that parents are the experts and letting the group lead. There was a parent who obviously had strong feelings about their child, and the group was going in a different direction. And I felt so much like I wanted to jump in and take over, but by chance I was silent, and one of the parents jumped in, and then I remembered, oh yes, the parents are the experts. And they helped lead and gear the discussion, and they were able to realize that for this particular parent that their feelings were just strong. So it was a whole process, and it was good for these parents because they don't usually get out a lot, they told me, and talk to other parents as well and have play dates and things like that. So it was a chance for them to really bond with other parents, and some of the parents in the group didn't have kids with special needs because their kids didn't have special needs, and so they were able to listen and learn from the other parents who did, and in terms of their development and things like that.
Thank you so much. I remember both of those examples, those stories that you shared during our reflective practice calls that follow the training. And I was so moved by them then, and am moved on the creative way that you took this curriculum and shared it with families in a somewhat non-traditional approach and setting. So thank you. Caroline, I wonder if you would be willing to share, and I know that you are also speaking not only for yourself, but also for your colleagues from Smart to the Start who will be part of this conversation as well.
Sure. So I know for me and Emily, definitely where touch points really just essentially hit it off for us is with our group at Entree Familia, which is a group home for mothers that are dual diagnosis, but majority of them have a substance abuse history. So with that, there is some DCF involvement, but some of the mothers do have their kids or they may be pregnant. And it was really important for us with that first module of the joys and challenges of parenting to just really emphasize that being a parent is hard work, but again, recognizing the joys, but also helping the moms work through their ambivalent feelings, especially where they have a substance abuse history. The child may have been removed from the home, and then they were able to get the child back. There are definitely some feelings that are ambivalent, not only for yourself, but maybe how you think about yourself as a parent and how you better parent your child. And what was really awesome is that, I'll never forget, we were talking about it, and one of the moms specifically was talking about how I really needed to hear this because there are so many days where I'm just so frustrated with my daughter because she's acting out, because she's not listening to me. But then I have to remember she wasn't with me for a while, and now she's living with me, and she's not only living with me, but she sees me living with all these other women who are living with their own children as well. And it's just a lot for a child to be able to understand and to be able to adjust to. So I think for her, it really helps process some of those feelings that she has where it's like, I love my child, but there are a lot of times that I do not like my child.
That's such a wonderful story, both to share this parent's ambivalence, but also the gift that you've given to this mother to be able to see the world through her child's perspective, that the meaning making for her child, which becomes so important. So talk about really engaging parents in conversations about their children and their development. It sounds like you and Emily were able to do that in this very challenging situation with mothers who may not have had their children with them. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Patty, would you like to wrap us up on this question?
Hi, Debbie. I'd like to share something from one of the parent surveys that we received, and this was a quote from a parent, and I think it really sums things up. And she wrote, "I realize that I know more and am stronger and more capable than I realized."
Oh, perfect, huh? It's great.
Right.
It is so much fun and so exciting for me to listen to all three of you talk about both what you've taken away from the training experience and how you're using your own skills and expertise and learning from touch points in the parenting curriculum for these very powerful parent groups, and talking about some of the structure, like the group agreement, laying the foundation, and using the principles and the assumptions and creating a safe space. So thank you, ladies. So we've come to the end of our time together, and I'm wondering if anyone has any additional last thought that you might want to share.
Sure. I just want to say, doing this training, being able to have our own check-ins after has been so helpful and crucial, I think, for me as this first opportunity straight out of grad school, and just really allowing me to grow more confident in myself as a clinician and being able to work with parents. I think it was also really just amazing how I could go back to the guiding principles and parent assumptions all the time, because literally, Debbie, that little card that you gave us has gone with me just about everywhere. So it's been amazing, and it's truly been such a helpful curriculum.
Well, I think you and the curriculum are amazing together. It's a team effort.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you. And Martina, any last thoughts you might want to share with us?
Anyway, I want to say thank you so much. And I agree with the others that the reflections that we've had afterwards have been so helpful as far as putting into practice what we learned. After we were done with the parent group, they were like, can we do more? Are there any more that we can do? So I was blown away by that. I don't have kids either, and I don't consider myself to be this strong person. I'm like, as far as parent experts, I'm more, I'd say more with children. But it was just amazing to see that they were really touched and that they really wanted more. And one of them sent me pictures of the whole thing afterwards. So that was really nice.
What a lovely gift. And clearly people so appreciated what you brought to them, Martina. And I have to say that I felt the same way when our 6 reflective practice calls or sessions with each of the groups ended. It was, I want more because I love hearing your experiences and all of the incredible work that you're doing. So thank you so much for bringing this curriculum and Dr. Brazelton's way of being to parents throughout the country. Appreciate that.
I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Debbie, for leading this conversation and the great discussion we were able to have. It was wonderful to hear from everyone and to hear about their experiences using the parenting program curriculum, as well as your experiences in the training. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you'd like to learn more about this program or any of our other programs, you can learn more at www.brazeltontouchpoints.org. Thank you again.